Just any general thoughts on getting outscored the last two fourth quarters and how you can change it?
Well, we just got to play more consistently. You know, the biggest thing is you got to do the same thing, you know, you do in the quarters that you do the best. You know, just because, I mean, if every play is viewed independently and just as a play, you get the most out of it. I mean, you just want to do that over and over again, you know, so, you know, that's what we need to do.
Do you see any echoes of sort of what was affecting the team the first two games in terms of kind of easing up because of success or not working quite as hard because of the success they've had during the first three quarters?
Not that some, maybe a little. I think the bigger thing is just the whole general staying focused for a long period of time. You know, I don't think it's necessarily some weird level of satisfaction. But I do think it's we relax a little bit. You know, and I think that, you know, just the general sharpness of our focus. I mean, I think we've got to maintain it all the time. I think we're still a team that's battling to play our best game. We haven't played our best game yet, and you know, we need to see how long we can sustain it and do it. So,
is it a unique challenge to play a program that's in sort of that stage of its development where it's playing a lot of teams really close but not sort of hitting yet, still looking for that first or second big win?
I don't know. I think they played some teams really close. I thought they should have beat. Well, I don't really talk about this because, you know, at the risk of course, getting fined or publicly reprimanded. But I think we just need to worry about our individual jobs, and we got to play the very best that we can, and we've got to. You know, just focus on that. But I know that, you know, when you're a team, you know, working to improve and getting close, I mean, you're always fighting to get over the hump.
College campuses are obviously a place where there's a lot of, you know, protests and students are exploring social issues. How do you feel about your players participating or observing or taking part in just like events on campus, stuff like that?
Oh, I think it's fine. I don't have any problem with that, you know. You know, just you know, freedom to experience, express, all that stuff. I'm in favor of it. Although with their participation, they still have their day job. They're not going to miss practice. They're not going to miss meetings. They're not going to miss class. But you know, no matter what end of the spectrum it's on, they can participate in what they want.
Do you think it's appropriate for them to sort of use the status they gain as public figures to sort of maybe lend visibility to an event or anything like that?
I don't think they can necessarily control that. I mean, they still have the right to be citizens and stuff like that. And if they want to, I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but, you know, there's this about it. I mean, we're not canceling practice, you know, and they're not going to be excused from class, but they can go, you know, do the stuff as, you know, as they want to, as they believe in, as they see fit, you know.
What are some things that stood out in that win against Arizona State? What were some things you liked from you guys, didn't like?
Well, I thought I thought we played real hard. I thought sometimes we were inconsistent. I thought that when we faced adversity, we stayed in it, we stuck in it, and you know, didn't. You know, we didn't flinch under pressure. I mean, some bad things happened at times. I thought we hung in there, and I thought we stuck in there and played and didn't let it break our focus. You know, despite the fact there's certainly points we felt like we could have played better. There were also times that we played real well. I would say the last defensive series, the last punt, and the last offensive series, I thought, you know, was very critical. And the timing of that to rise together on all three phases was very important for us to win that game, and we did. And before that, we'd had some adversity that, you know, it'd be tempting to get frustrated into, you know, into overreact to or underreact to, and we didn't. You know, we've gathered up, focused in, and played pretty well on our end when you consider.
Was this one of Falk's tougher performances out there? I know you weren't happy with the offensive line after the game and the amount of hits he took, but when looking back, was he that much of a warrior on tape when you were watching it live?
No. I think some of it was a little dramatic. I think, though, that he got hit more than he should have, and I think we should have protected him better.
What do you mean when you say some of it was a little dramatic?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously they're going to do all their close-ups or whatever. I mean, bottom line, get up, play the next play. But we shouldn't have got him hit nearly as much as we did.
Do you talk to your guys about, 5 wins in a row now? Do you talk to them about not letting that success kind of get to their heads?
I talked to him about winning 1 game a week and only focusing on this game.
Let's go questions on the line for Coach Leach.
Hey, Mike, when did you start picking Jamal Morrow as your captain, and what is your philosophy behind team captains? I noticed you guys don't have any captains that you have the guys vote or that the coaches appoint for the whole season. Where did you get that practice, I guess?
Trial and error. Let's see, trial and error. Okay, I mean, like the way most teams do it, the way most teams do it, or a lot of teams do it, and I've done all of it. As a matter of fact, it appears, I mean, based on the latest approach, I may have done it more ways than anybody else, which just shows you what an inexact science picking captains is, at least for me. The first way is that I was ever associated with was let the players elect them. You'd have these little vote for them sometimes as early as at the end of spring. I mean, insanely early, like the end of spring, vote for captains. And the other times it'd be at the end of camp, or then other times beginning of camp, end of camp. Then sometimes it's a week before the first game anyway, so they vote on them. And and then then as coaches, you could veto a guy if you wanted to and put that in, because we haven't lost sight of the fact that we're coaches. But so then a couple things may happen. One, they may select, poor representatives. So maybe they're right, maybe as coaches you're right, but they may select poor representatives. Then the other thing that happened is sometimes these guys would get the status of being captain and they wouldn't handle it very well. They'd be viewed as, some kind of an elevated player, and they'd maybe get entitled and want to take shortcuts and feel elevated and that type of thing. And so then you'd end up either changing captains or wishing you hadn't had the captains you had. Then I did a deal where each week after each game, what have you done for me lately? We'd start the Sunday meeting with everybody would elect captains for this week. And the captains for that week would always be whoever got the most touchdowns, whoever had the best game, basically. It'd be the guys whoever had the best game. And then as I did it that way, it would change all the time, and it seemed to gravitate into a glorified popularity contest or whoever had played the best. And then as you're counting the votes, some guys obviously just voting for themselves or getting a couple friends too, One of those in the corner locker room guys, maybe he'd have 4 votes, his and his 3 buddies. And then so I decided that was kind of a waste of time, and I thought, well, what is this captain stuff? Everybody around here can be their own captain. Besides, I've got assistant coaches to be their captain. Their coach tells them what to do anyway. Now these team captains tell these guys what to do. Plus my experience with team captains, as far as really taking the team on their shoulders, has been fairly, it hadn't been incredibly great. I mean, it's like, typically good kids where nothing happens. They're out there just trying to do their job and play the best they can. But the notion of a bunch of captains inspiring everybody, I mean, one, it's difficult to do. Two, it's unrealistic. And three, it really doesn't happen very often. And so then I thought, well, you know, all the guy really does is the coin toss. And then I decided, you know, one of the most screwed up things about this country is the fact that in order to do anything, in order to cross the street, we always have to have a committee, you know. And I said, you know, and so I figured, well, screw the committee. We really only need one guy. And now he's got to be smart enough to call either heads or tails. That's it. And so then I thought about, well, should I get the biggest guy on the team or the littlest guy on the team? And then I thought, well, Jamal Morrow was on The Price is Right and was fairly lucky and went to the final round and almost won the sucker. And it was closest to the price, but he's over by like $3. The other person's under by like $60, but since he's over, he loses. And so I figured, well, Jamal Morrow's a lucky guy. And plus, he's got pretty good energy to him and stuff like that. So why not Jamal Morrow? And so then Jamal Morrow goes out and did have an amazing knack for winning the toss. And then, I mean, wins it almost all the time. I mean, literally. I'm serious about this. I don't know what his record is, but it's something incredible. And then, but I don't even really care about that because one way or the other, you get the ball one half or the other, except one time when I played Nebraska. Oh, I'll tell you a story on that in a second. So hold on to your hat. And then, so Morrow goes out there and he had a funny tendency to win. Then I'm thinking, I don't want to sit here and think of and sort out a new guy to do it. So Jamal Morrow has gone out there for the coin toss for about 2.5 years and quite honestly done a tremendous job in my opinion. Then we got on a roll, and so then I liked it even better. And and I'll tell you, here's another reason to not have a committee out there. Okay, so one time we're playing Nebraska. Okay, now even the word Nebraska, Texas Tech, it's bad enough to play Nebraska and they're big players and all that other stuff. And I don't mind talking about this team because it's in the past. But even the name or the word Nebraska, was scary enough. That was one of the hardest things you had to get over. It was just, and you'd see even faces fall in the hall if somebody said Nebraska, And, well, so we're sitting there playing Nebraska. So we go out there for the coin toss. We got, our 4 captains out there. And the referee comes out, and he's got some special commemorative coin that he really likes, and that coin's got some value to him or something. And so it's a commemorative coin. And it's not a coin that's got a clearly defined head or tail. I mean, on one side there's like a building, and on the other side there's like a tree or something, So who knows what's the head, who knows what's the tail. So he flips that sucker, and then well, first of all, we had more than one person talking. Second of all, they're talking, the Nebraska guys are talking. And then as the coins flipped, and then nobody's sure who won the coin toss. And we said something like, we wanted to defer, but we said something like we want to kick or so. I can't remember the dialogue, and the whole thing's ridiculous anyway. So we kick off, and then the second half, and I've never seen anything like this. The second half, this guy comes over to me, and he says, you're kicking this half too. I go, what are you talking about? And I think he's joking, just kind of light conversation on the sideline. I think he's joking. And, bad enough we're playing Nebraska, and we're actually leading just by a little bit. And then Well, and so then he says something about, no, we flipped this coin and it was like this, and you know, you said this and they said that, and somebody said this, the other thing, and so you have to kick this half too. Well, needless to say, you can imagine how measured I was in my words and my dialogue with that individual. And, you know, I was controlled, concise, expressed my thoughts clearly with no additional adjectives or anything like that. And then I even brought up my guy, you know, a couple of the captains, you know, what happened. And then they started, you know, defending themselves with the ref too, saying, well, hey, what happened? And first of all, it wasn't even a coin. Anybody could tell what it was, heads or tails. Well, so then he walks off, and we end up kicking both halves. Ended up pounding Nebraska, and so I thought about maybe we ought to kick both halves from here on, but I didn't. We never did. But yeah. So, and I will say this: it's kind of changed. So now it's not as much of a trick question. They'll actually kind of make sure that you get the ball one half or the other. So I think that's a good move, and I think that's progress.
Thanks, Mike. So I guess the follow-up is, I mean, outside of his coin tossing abilities, you know, how has Morrow developed in the 3 years that he's been here? I mean, when you guys recruited him, he said he was mostly a runner, but really liked the idea of being able to catch the football as well, and learned that a lot of that here.
I think he's a real well-rounded player. I think he, you know, if you were to average it all out, the three skills of blocking, catching, and rushing the football, the three skills, I think, you know, if you were to average it out between all of our backs, he's the best one. You know, he's not necessarily the best in any specific area, but he's the best overall. I thought he played a really tough game last week. Had some really, you know, tough yards after contact. Did a good job running his feet, playing low. There's one play, and I don't know how far it went. It probably went like 10 yards or something, where, you know, he broke like 7, 8 tackles on that run alone. I thought, which was very impressive. You know, you'd think that with 7, 8 guys there, we'd probably have a couple people blocking some of them, but nevertheless, Morrow broke some tackles, and it was really a tough run. And I think, you know, and he's just really excited to be out there and play, and I think he's done a lot of good things.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Anything else on the line? Back in the room.
Coach, back-to-back away games, anything different in the way practices are run or how you have to schedule around that?
Not really. You know, the trickiest part would be Sunday. If we practice Sunday, it's getting to that time of the year that we haven't been practicing on Sunday. So if it was early in the year, it's tougher because, you know, you got to regroup, get through your meetings and practice. I like the atmosphere of a night game. I don't mind the sequence of the day on a night game. You know, the harder part is getting back at 3:30 in the morning and then, you know, still watching film, collecting your thoughts, winding down, and then getting at it the next day to, you know, to get the game plan in. So, contrary to popular belief, the toughest days, the busiest days as a coach are Sundays and Mondays because you're putting all your game plan in for the next week.
Coach, past several games, you guys have been winning the time of possession stat by kind of a big margin. Is that something that you pay attention to or try to accomplish during the game?
I take 100% no satisfaction in that whatsoever. I'm glad we're on top of it. Even the most trivial categories, I just assume we win instead of we lose. You know, you know, I think that stats that we are doing well at that I think are important. We get a lot of first downs. We're either first or second in the league in that. Number of plays is more important to me than time of possession, because, you know, that's a real measure. Like, if you beat me in time of possession and I had 90 plays and you had 60, you're going to have to explain to your defense how despite the fact they had to play 30 more plays. At least you guys won the time of possession, you see, and that's a little tough to describe as we get 30 more shots at the apple and then they're all bruised up based on that. So I think number of plays is far more important than time of possession. Obviously, under all circumstances, score the most important, no matter how you get it. But I've always thought number of plays, first downs, and third down conversions, and we're pretty good on third down conversions. I didn't think we were last game, but we're pretty good on third down conversions.
So you mentioned third down conversions there. Do you take into account your conversion percentage on fourth down when you're deciding whether to kick or go for it?
Yeah, I kind of consider it third down. I don't really, I don't consider the percentage. I just consider, do I think we can get it or can't we? So yeah, if you think you can get it, get it. If you don't think you can, you probably better kick it or punt it.
Good to see Robert Taylor as Player of the Week.
Yeah, he's been on the verge of breaking one of those. He's been right there, and it just hadn't popped, but it's been close. So kind of thought one would eventually, but it was really a good run. It was really a good run, and it was a key time in the game that I thought elevated everybody.
Relative to offense and defense, how important are special teams over in the context of a game?
Well, I think it's really important. I don't think it's a full third of the game. I mean, you just add up the plays. It's not a full third, but it's up there. I think we play starters on special teams, and we do it deliberately, and we make sure. I mean, a guy's not good enough to start on offense or defense. There better be some really good justification on why he's good enough to start on special teams. But it's on a single play, it's the biggest exchange of yards that exists in football. I mean, it's possible to have a bigger exchange of yards on offense or defense, but it's not likely. And so play for play, it's the biggest exchange of yards that exists in football. So, if you're going to exchange that many yards, you better put your best foot forward, I think.
Anything else for Coach?
Do you have a World Series favorite? Cubs, Indians?
I want the Indians.
Any reason for that?
Not really. I've always been an American League guy primarily. I've always been an American League guy, and then and now a manager that I really respect, though, the Cubs manager, and everywhere he goes, he does a tremendous job. Madden, and then he does a great job, and so from that standpoint, actually, so I like him and all that. When I was a kid, I was more of an American League guy, and then when I was a kid, I was more of an American League guy. My teams were basically every team that Billy Martin managed. So I started out like in the Yankees. Then as I went to law school, it's too easy to like the Yankees. So then I became an Angels fan, and that's when the Angels were on when they were right on the brink. They'd make the playoffs and would almost get there, almost. And so I became an Angels fan. I'd say I'm still an Angels fan. There's some teams, and Cubs are one of them, where there's just too many Cubs fans, and they're one of those teams that for whatever reason, I guess it's because people like the way their uniforms look or something, that every yuppie with a BMW or some special attachment to his computer or some designer set of jeans or something like that is a Cubs fan and refers to it as my Cubbies. And anytime, if you say my in front of your team, well, then that's dubious. Okay. My this, my that. Come on now. And so you get my Cubbies. You don't get my Indians. You get my Cubbies, okay? And then, and I think there's just too many out of the woodwork people that like them, that just like them because they like the uniforms, don't know the first thing about baseball, probably have never even attended a Cubs game, but that's just going to be their team since they have something to talk about over the copy machine and the cooler. And so as a result, going against the whole wave of probably 7/8 of America, I want the Indians. Me and the state of me and the city of Cleveland. So it's like when we played Navy when I was at Texas Tech. We played Navy, so we beat Navy, and it was right during the Gulf War, and then so we beat Navy, and so which was quite a deal because there was 300 million people that were ticked off and 250,000 that were happy. It's like being the Oakland Raiders in the 70s. It was awesome.
Coach, kind of relating to what you just said about people saying my team and stuff like that, how do you feel about the Seahawks and their 12th man and people?
No, I like that. And I like the A&M does it. Yeah, that. As a matter of fact, I think it's probably fair to say the Seahawks probably got it from Texas A&M. No, I like that. The whole where the fans become that are there and that are active become a whole part of that thing. And then and of course the whole A&M tradition of selecting a guy that was their old tradition behind that. I like that because the more the fans are fired up and the more they have a specific identity, I think it's huge. And then of course along with that, Seattle deliberately, from what I read, maybe this is all legend, but they get some acoustics guy to sort it out, to figure out how can we make this the loudest possible place in the NFL, and they get some scientists to sort it out, and some which that's kind of a tribute to their fans too. No, I like that stuff. I know the thing, and it's not the Cubs' fault. It's certainly not the Cubs' fault. It's certainly not the Cubs' fault. I mean, the problem is there's certain things that people gather around, and then it becomes, of course, they're all fired up about it, and then it's like everybody jumps on board, and it's like, and then. And then like the guy, what happened in the one playoffs? The one guy, there's a ball that the guy, it would have been like the greatest catch in the history of the world if that guy would have managed to catch it. So the poor guy in the stands touches the ball, and then they proceed to make errors and not do well at the plate or whatever. And so then all of a sudden it's that guy's fault that the Cubs didn't win. I mean, baloney. So I'm straight Indians. And I'm dedicating my fanmanship to this World Series to the guy that touched the ball in the stands. Like anybody that's got a ball coming to their face is probably going to put his hand up. So, but all the woodwork, I want to have this team just so I'm attached to a team, even though I don't know anything about it and I have nothing invested other than the $14 I paid for the baseball cap. I want the other team.
Coach, you said Sunday and Mondays are your busiest time, so I'm guessing you didn't see the Seahawks game last night?
Wait, you're stepping on your student question?
No, I'm not asking about that.
No, I did not. So but I do think this. I think the Cubs and the Indians plan to score more points than that.
The student question is, what do you think of the NFL overtime rules? So just the rules in general, but also that it can end in a tie.
I think you should play it out. I think you should play it out till there's a winner. They say, well, the game will go too long. Well, it's this. Well, it's that. Well, it doesn't have to go too long. If you think it's going too long, quit, and the other team will win, and then you get to get off the field. So I don't think it's possible to go too long unless somebody's willingly out there fighting to win. If I do feel like our guys deliberately quit, there would be a monster issue around that. But no, I think they should play it out. And I imagine those coaches think so too.
Do you think the NFL should adopt some version of the college rules?
I actually like I don't remember exactly because the NFL shifted their rule a little bit. What I've always thought should happen is that you go out there, each team, because it used to be both teams didn't get a possession. So you flip the coin, kick off, and say if the first team scores a touchdown, okay, that's fine, but you don't win until the other team's had a possession. Then the other team gets a possession. Okay, once the other team's had a possession, once they've had their possession, then the game's over from there. I think that'd be the best way to do it. That's how I would do it. I'd play regular football. Each team gets a possession, a full possession, and then once each possession's over, then whoever wins from there, whoever gets ahead from there is the winner. And then how long does it take? Well, who cares? If it's too long, quit.
Anything else for Coach?
And I think college should do it that way too.
Guess that would probably change the strategy. Teams would like to kick off in overtime instead of proceed, maybe?
Yeah, I think they would. Well, no, in our overtime. Well, see, the NFL overtime you want to receive.
Right.
In our overtime you want to be on defense. So then you know what you have to react to.
Right.
But I would, no, I think for everybody, I think what I just described is what I would do if it was up to me.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.